Hello grapplers and welcome to a new video. Today we're finally gonna do it. We're gonna talk about a controller I've been using on and off for the past 2 months. The Haute42 G16. So you can decide if this controller is for you. This controller, first of all, the name G16 because it has these many buttons. It has a lot of buttons, basically 16 buttons. It's like a sandwich. Acrylic sandwich. Basically, the PCB is sandwiched between two acrylic pieces. It's very easy to disassemble if you want. It has some screws, some Phillips screws on the back. It's very heavy compared to other controllers I've seen, but it keeps the small form factor so you can use it mainly on your desk. We're gonna get to that point in a few seconds. The general presentation of the product is very good. It's a very slick design. It has a small screen. By default, it shows you the buttons you're pressing, so it's very cool. It has two inputs for the cable. This is a USB-C type of cable, which is great because, USB-C is very easy to plug in and plug out. Playing with the controller right now. It has LEDs for every single button. You can change them however you want. It has another side where you can connect an adapter, and this is for PS5 specifically. Generally speaking, it is a great controller, and the sizing is 196 by 125. Those are millimeters. It is 16 millimeters thick, so it is a pretty thick boy, and the reason why it's so thick compared to other controllers is because it uses Leobug Raygood B4 linear switches. You press the switches, they have been looped. If you are into keyboards, this is gonna be a great experience. I have no complaints. I have the set of buttons, the usual, the standard. You have a lot of things by default with this controller. There's a lot of buttons for this one. And also on the back you have the input modules. You hold certain buttons while you connect. You will switch it between, for example, the PS4, Switch, X input, and so on and so on. The problem with the presentation is the cable, which sucks. It's one of the cheapest cables I've seen. Easily this will be the first thing to break. How does it play? Amazing. But you do have a small issue right here, and those are the keycaps. Well, the controller looks great with them. Once you start playing, especially if you swipe your inputs or if you're mashing your inputs with your fingers, it is very easy for the keycaps to blow off. Basically, you're gonna send them flying. The controller by itself does not have any kind of surface that would help the controller to not move around surfaces. Haute offers within the package some anti-slip pads. You have to cut them and add them to whatever you need on the back. You can buy your own. You don't have to use those, but it is necessary because this being a small controller and due to the material this controller is made of, you're gonna need some kind of resistance. I have to discuss the biggest thing right here. I feel, at least for me, it is the biggest thing. The size is something you need to consider. If this is your first Leverless, you have to think about the future. Do you want to go to tournaments? Do you want to experience fighting games outside of your house? Do you play on a desk? Those are questions you need to ask yourself, because this is very uncomfortable if you use this controller on your lap. Completely bad experience. Even if you put something below and you try to lever your controller in some way so you can play as comfortable as possible, you will always have a difference in height between your controller and the surface. That is a big issue. This obviously doesn't happen if you play on your house, but if you plan to go to tournaments, that is probably the biggest, I wouldn't say red flag, but the biggest issue. It is very likely you will have no surface unless you bring your own to put the controller on. If that's the case, I would recommend going for the T series, which is bigger. This obviously does not apply only to the G16. Every controller that has this kind of form factor will have the same issue. The package has a few things going on. It has an extra switch. The manual have everything you need here, how to correctly use the controller. Very simple. Now, in terms of fighting games, this is a great controller for playing whatever fighting game you want. I've used this with Street Fighter, with Tekken. I do prefer it for Tekken rather than Street Fighter, but that's just me. Overall, the controller is great. If you are in the market for a Leverless controller, probably you're looking for something with enough buttons so you have all the flexibility for playing Street Fighter or other fighting games, and also something that is on the cheap side if this is your first experience with Leverless. This one, I think it was $60 with shipping. It's a little bit expensive now, but it's all around those numbers. Compatibility. So if you look at the website, It says it's compatible with PS4, PS3. It does not say anything about PS5. Raspberry Pico this controller uses. And this board is very common. Even controllers that are not from Haute use this kind of board. Over here it says the GP2040. Almost every kind of low profile, handmade kind of controller will very likely use the GP2040. In order for you to use this controller on a PS4, you need a controller key. And that is not something Haute provides. In fact, they cannot. You have to source your own. If you use it just straight away, you'll have the 8-minute timeout. And if you want to use this controller on a PS5, you need an adapter. Anything that has the Raspberry Pi code. You have to go out of your way to buy the adapter in order for you to play tournaments. And this applies even to the expensive option, expensive quote unquote, still pretty cheap, the Haute Pad M series. So you still need some kind of adapter to use this thing on a PS5. You have to add it to the price if you want to play with these controllers. You have the configuration itself, the settings, the proper configuration. As you can see here, you can change even the LEDs. It's all great stuff, very simple to use. Also the display, backup, restoration, and pin mapping, so you can change the buttons. It's good stuff. If this controller is something you need to buy, I think if you're looking for your first Leverless, I'm gonna say yeah, it is a great controller to have. But if you plan to go to tournaments, my only issue is the size. Apart from that, you can change the keycaps, so you eliminate that problem. And you can also change your switches in case you want something different. Consider the pricing with the adapters. Overall, I'd say yes, this is one of the best controllers I've bought in recent time. It's great material. I really like this controller, and I hope I can test some other Haute controllers. That's the review for my thoughts for the Haute42. If you really like this video, please subscribe. Thanks as always, keep playing grapplers, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.